Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need.
Welcome everyone to the David Rome and Dan Tirico show. It is week 9 of the TCAA. Dan, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. My mute button is not on, and I am ready to roll.
Perfect. Speaking of mute buttons, I have no idea how I'm going to segue with that, but I just tried. We had some crazy results last week. We had a team annihilate another team. We had some close matchups between some ranked teams. So it is going to be interesting how those poll results were affected by these games. So let's get straight into some of these Week 8 matchups. Right off the bat, Gondor University. Wow. If the week when you scored 100 points on a Thursday night with 4 players wasn't a message to the league, then the message you threw when you I don't even know what's the correct word of what they did to throwdowns.
Will the real throwdowns please stand up? Because I don't think that was I don't think the team showed up.
228 points. Now, we start. Is it 12 or 13? 12, let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. I can count to 12. We start 12 people on this roster. 9 were in double digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 were 24 or higher in points, with 2 of them being in the 30s. I don't know what your definition of spanking that ass, beat down, making them your bitch. I don't know which way you want to go with it, but that's what Gondor U did to the throwdowns. I don't know any other way to say that.
But yeah, there's nothing else I can add to that. They came, they saw, they conquered.
There's really nothing else you can say. It's like you almost want to just crown Gondor U the champions and say we're done. We're not even gonna mess with you anymore. And that's what kind of a beat that was. Let's see, so these other matchups we had. Yep. We also had. Let's see here.
We had some Land Thieves and Green Devils. Green Devils put up a really good effort. Now Land Thieves, of course, threw up another monster score, almost 181 points. The Green Devils, they were like the 4th highest scoring person that week. If they'd have played almost anybody else, they would have had the game. Just wasn't enough to do it, but they did good. We also went over the Blue Bombers and Vols. The Volunteers barely, which I picked it, but they barely squeaked out. Less than a point.
That's got to hurt.
Yeah, definitely. I would, it happens.
Let's take a look at here real quick. Maybe the you look at both of them. It looks like they started a player that didn't get any points. Each of them. Volunteers with safety, they were able to squeak out the victory. Reggie Wayne, not sure what happened there. University of Blunteville Blue Bombers, not sure, but cost yourself a victory, in my opinion. Tisk is all I gotta say. Tisk. But let's see, other matchups we had in there. Let's go back to that matchup you were talking about with the Land Thieves and Green Devils. Huge matchup. You had the then was number 3 Land Thieves versus number 6 Greenville. Land Thieves were victorious. However, it doesn't stop for either one of these teams this coming week. You have Greenville going up against the University of Thugonomics, and Land Thieves. Just when you thought they could catch a break, nope. They're going against the undefeated Vestal Virgins, which I know we're going to be talking about these matchups later on, so we will hold off on that before we get into those games. Any other matchups that look like could have gone any other way?
It looks like that was the major ones. All the other ones seem like, for the most part, they were pretty straightforward. Dragon Slayers and Rusty Nails, that one was fairly close.
You have Medicine Man squeaked by the Dynasty.
Medicine Man squeaked by the Dynasty. That was number 4 ranked Medicine Man versus unranked Dynasty.
That is accurate. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, those would have been your two, your big matchups. I mean, Mysterious Spartans, they're down 160 points.
Southern Supermen, that was a little over 5 points separated them in place at the table. So we had some of these unranked teams very easily could have threw some upsets in.
It could have been a crazy weekend.
Yeah, but alas, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So how'd you do in your locks, Mr. Rome?
My locks were quite fantastic. I don't expect nothing but being the best when I make my locks. Anything less than that, I get a little upset. I'm like an old man trying to send back soup in the deli, if you know what I mean, when stuff doesn't go my way. But, first pick I had for last week, I had Mysterious Spartans. They were able to go out there and get me the W. They were facing the H-Town Cobras. I remember H-Town Cobras, Bobby brought him into the league, said, here's a good league, get your feet wet, and also welcome to the league because you're going to lose. And I guaranteed that. I was right. Sorry, Bobby. Sorry, H-Town Cobras. It's just the way it happens. Mysterious Spartans is just the better team. They have a 3-game winning streak now. But, chin up, H-Town. Chin up. I know it was your first game. You're getting your feet wet. I expect big things from you, but not this past week. Mysterious Spartans, very good job getting that W for me. And the other match I had was the SC LSU Muddogs. They were taking on somewhere around here, the University of Ron Swanson Carnivores. Now, some would say that was a pretty easy pick, Rome. Pretty easy. Ron Swanson sucks. And you're right. They do. That's why I picked them to lose. I was actually told by their president, pick against me because you're guaranteed to win. I'm only doing what I was told to do. SC LSU Muddogs went out there. Peyton Manning, these offensive numbers all of a sudden. He has Peyton Manning 28, Matt Forte 27, Arian Foster 37, Jeremy Macklin 39. Yikes. And I think those 4 alone beat Ron Swanson. Sorry, dog. Sorry.
Yeah, I like the name, Ron Swanson Carnivore. So, hey, what do you do?
I think that's the only thing anybody can like about the team right now. Is just their name. I'm not trying to be a dick. Just telling the truth.
Well, I think I also went 2-0 as well.
Yes, you did.
I think that puts both of us at 9-5.
That's correct.
So, apparently we wake up in the morning and we piss excellence. Can I say that on the radio?
I'm pretty sure I've said everything else on the radio so far. So.
Alrighty. I had the Fat Vol versus No Sankey. I picked Fat Vol to win, and Fat Vol, they did just that. Fairly good spread too. So close to, it was around 39 points over the top. So I also had we had Garnet and Black versus I'm Kind of a Big Deal, and I said I'm Kind of a Big Deal was going to pull out the win, and I'm Kind of a Big Deal did just that.
Larry Fitzgerald showed up.
Yeah, he did. That's 2 weeks in a row he showed up too. So maybe now he's got somebody throwing him the ball, or I don't know. Something's happening. So, and it's good. If you got Fitzgerald on your team, then he's definitely. If you've had him on the bench, he's worth the look now.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely worth a look. And, I mean, big ups. I mean, 2-0. Congrats. I went 2-0. I like the way it works sometimes.
Alrighty. Well, I think that kind of covers our locks. Who are we looking at as far as matchups this week?
Matchups are going to be an interesting matchup. We have some. It's rivalry week here.
Okay, and this is a new league, new people, rivalry week. What does that mean for us?
Well, rivalry week, because it's so hard to say those two words together for some stupid reason.
Yeah, I struggle. Of course, I struggle saying a lot of things. We all know that. But
I struggle it also. I want to just like mix it all together and just call it rivalry week, but it almost sounds like I said it. But it might be, the New Yorker, Floridian, Tennessean in me that mixes every little accent possible into the way I speak. I don't know. But rivalry week, basically what that means, in this league, 1 win, 1 loss. You win, you pick the name of the team, you've changed their name, whoever you beat. For instance, let's say the I'm Kind of a Big Deal defeats Place at the Table. They're going to be a team. That's a matchup we're going to talk about. And let's say I'm Kind of a Big Deal wins. Place at the Table now gets a name change. It could be changed to, Last at the Table. Could be changed to No Food on Your Table. It could be changed to You Suck. I don't know. Just those are all ideas. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But that's basically the basis of it. It brings a little funniness, especially because the rivals are supposed to be people who you know. Some people didn't get that, so sorry if you're offended by anything. But win your game and you won't have to bitch about it. Basically how that one works.
Awesome.
Yeah, I pretty much summed that all up. Anyway, games of the week. Let's see. Games of the week. We have Southern Superman versus the SC Muddogs, which both of those teams are ranked, so we're definitely going to go over these rankings here in a second before we get into these matchups. And also, I'm Kind of a Big Deal versus a Place at the Table. Now, since we have some ranked teams going on here, let's let you know what rank they are, because the polls have come out.
Oh, yeah.
The computer poll, basically since we now have the TCS rankings, that's how the rankings are listed, so we go over all the rankings now, so that way you understand exactly how those teams came to where they are. The computer poll, which is the power ranking, you can actually look this up yourself. It's easy. There's a little button on the website that says power rank. Push it, boom. You know who's going to be those top 10 teams. Gondor University, number 1. No surprise there. I'm sure the computer loves this team with the freaking amount of points they score. You got Vessel Virgins 2, Land Thieves 3, Medicine Men 4, the SC LSU Muddogs 5. I wonder if that means they got ranked. 6 Volunteers, 7 is Greenville Green Devils, even though they lost. Still putting up points. Computer likes points, even if you lose. University of Thugonomics, Tedzilla, and the Southern Supermen. Media poll. How'd that media poll come out?
Well, we like to go against computer stuff. So media poll. Number 1, number 2, Gondor, Vestal. Flip a coin. I mean, they're both good teams. They're both throwing up big numbers until these two pretty much tee off. And even then, I bet if they were to play 10 times, I bet you would still have one win 5 games and the other one win 5. It's just how I think evenly matched they are. Gondor did throw up the big numbers this past week, but again, they were beating down on an unranked, unremarkable team, but they were going against an unranked team. And Vestal, on the other hand, they did square up against a ranked team, and I thought, what the heck, let's give them number 1. All the other ones, again, like we've said so far the past several weeks, that 1 through 4, 1 through 5 all pretty much stay the same. You land thieves and medicine men and are showing up consistently and constantly week after week. We got a little bit of change around the bottom, not a tremendous amount. Green Devils are in that bottom 5. Volunteers in the bottom 5. I've got Tedzilla at 6. He's a little higher in the coaches poll. But Muddogs, Thugonomics. I mean, if you look, I mean, it's the same teams in the 1 through 5, and then the 6 through 10 range, and just mixed up a little bit. I'm sure we all just kind of look at it a little different. But we got 4 weeks left. Let's see who kind of pulls ahead and gets out there, and it's not over.
No, it is not over. I mean, coach's poll, you're going to be hearing the exact same teams again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's just the way this kind of works. Coach's poll, number 1, Gondor University took over as the number 1 team for the coaches poll. They've received 3 first-place votes. Vestal Virgins, they've got number 2, they received a vote. Land Thieves also received a vote at number 3. You got Medicine Man 4. Tedzilla makes a jump to 5. You got Southern Superman 6. Volunteer 7. The SC LSU Muddogs 8. Greenville Green Devils 9. And rounding out in the top 10 is the University of Thugonomics. A team that also received votes, just missing being in the top 10, University of Blunteville Blue Bombers. They received 3 votes, just not enough average to get into that top 10. Mysterious Spartans 1 vote got in there, Valval 1 in there. They did miss out. And then, like we said, University of Blunteville Blue Bombers did drop out of the top 10. So, you take all 3 of those polls, you put them into a pot, you mix it up, you do a couple of things. Next thing you know, you get the TCAA TCS Bowl standings, which is how we are currently ranked. So if you see a number by your name, that means you're ranked by your TCS ranking. Number 1, Gondor University. Number 2, Vestal Virgins. Number 3, Land Thieves. Number 4, Medicine Man. Number 5, Tedzilla. Number 6, Volunteers. Number 7, Southern Supermen. SCLSU Muddogs at number 8, Greenville Green Devils number 9, rounding out the top 10, University of Thugonomics. There's no surprise that it seems that those are the exact, none of those teams were not in any of the other polls. So those are basically your top 10 teams. Can't argue with really any of those. All of them are great teams. It should be very interesting on the website as well for everybody. Under league articles, we're going to start posting the TCS Bowl predictions. Who we think is going to be in the playoffs, who we think is going to be making it into the championship game, who's going to be playing in the bowl games. Remember, bowl games are very, very important as well with recruiting. You get extra points. But other than that, I think we just jump right in here to this rivalry week. What do you think?
I do. And real quick, I try to be fair. I just realized I misspoke. And I would say screwed the pooch. That's a term from where I'm from. But I said that Vestal Virgins beat a ranked team, and actually they didn't. I was thinking of Land Thieves beating a ranked team. Vestal Virgins faced Quack Attack. So, as far as affecting 1 and 2, again, like I said, it's a toss-up. But I made an error there, so I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there. But yeah,
no problem.
Let's hop into it.
All right, let's get into first the non-ranked matchup. We figure we're going to send a little love out here to I'm kind of a big deal and place at the table. Your matchup's not the glitziest, you're not ranked, but you know what? You're still damn pretty important to the TCAA. And you want to know why? You guys are both 2-6. I think you both are actually, and if I'm correct here, I'm kind of a big deal, is leading in their division right now. In their little East-West Coast conference, whichever one they're in. I want to say at 2-6 they're leading it, which is upsetting. But hey, that's just the way this operation works. Place at the table. You're on a 5-game losing streak. Come on now. You were you 2-1 when you started. 2-1. Now 5 in a row you've lost. Who knows where you'd be? You could be better. You could be somewhere else at the place of the table. Maybe your place at the table would be at the head of the table. The head of the table. But upsetting. But we're gonna break your team. We're gonna break your matchups down. What do we got for us?
Well, as far as breaking matchups down, unless you want to cover it a bit, but you said 2-6. I'm kind of a big deal. Leading their conference or division, whatever you want to refer to that. I guess I'm thinking of TFL as far as that affecting things, but is that going to get them into a bowl game, or what's that going to mean?
Well, what that does right now, if the season ended, I'm kind of a big deal, is actually in the Big Six championship game. So if they were to upset Medicine Man, who's leading the East of the Big Six, that probably wouldn't get them a TCS ranked thing, but I think they'd have to get a bowl game because you were the champions of your division, of your conference. So right now they're at 2-6. They've got the lead right now in their division. They're 1-0, conference 1-1. We're going to get into, after this week, I think it's just a nonstop run of division foes and conference foes. So the picture will be a little bit more clear. But I mean, I'm kind of a big deal. You're 2-6, but you definitely have the ability to win, get into your title game. You win there. I'm not going to say BCS matchup. Let's not get crazy here. But a bowl game, either way, is a huge thing when it comes to the recruiting. So that's basically what I'm kind of a big deal is fighting for right now, is a chance to get into their title game and maybe pull an upset off and get into a bowl game.
Awesome.
Now, that's not going to be the same for Place at the Table. Place at the Table needs to do a lot more than just win. I mean, they're in a stacked conference where, I'm not saying you're basically playing spoiler. I don't want to say your season's over, but you're like the University of Tennessee of your division. I'm sorry, Tennessee fans. You're the University of Florida of your division. Either way, you're not really looking pretty when it comes to the bowl season, but you can play spoiler.
It's pretty dang fun to be spoiler though, still. So.
Oh well, there's always a reason to play spoiler. I love that spoiler.
Alrighty, place at the table, and I'm kind of a big deal. You want to start with a breakdown on this one?
Yeah, why not? Let's look at this. You have place at the table. You got Nick Foles as your QB. I like it. Definitely got a good thing going. Alfred Morris, I like the running backs with Ben Tate. Got a little problem currently with the wide receivers. You have great wide receivers, don't get me wrong. I just think currently you have a problem with your wide receivers. That's as far as I'm going to go. Tight end, Kobe Fleener. Not the worst choice, but he gets you points. But, you know who he's got on his team? He's got the man known as J.J. Watt and Luke Kuechly. Those are both studs in the defensive area. So that's pretty good. But I'm kind of a big deal. Kind of makes me wonder why you're 2-6. I'm a little lost. You got Drew Brees. Sure, he's not having his best of seasons, but with the conference you're in, I figured maybe you'd have a better record. I don't know. Drew Brees, Marshawn Lynch, Darren Sproles, he's starting to pick it up a little. Larry Fitzgerald starting to pick it up a little. Percy Harvin was doing good in the beginning of the season, and now he got traded, but he did good last week for the Jets, so maybe that's a spark. He's also got Luke Kuechly. He's got Jason Pierre-Paul. Love him. Go Bulls, USF. That's my boy. I'm kind of a big deal on this one.
I can definitely see that. You talked about I'm kind of a big deal. Drew Brees at Carolina, definitely not. He's not been good on the road. if I could have found a way to have a different quarterback, I probably would have. Lynch, past couple of games haven't been great, but he's going against the Raiders this go round, so I expect to see bigger numbers pop back out of Lynch. Do like Sproles. He's got Larry Fitzgerald. That might be part of why he's 2-6. He's really not done much this year, except for the past couple of games. So I expect to see that trend continue. However, he is going against a Cowboys defense, so this week may not, may not provide quite the numbers he has the past two matchups. Harvin, Jets, seems like he's not lost a step. Now Jordan Reed, I do know last year, I think he had a really good game against the Vikings. I think he may have had a couple touchdowns or something, if memory serves me correct. We got Kuechly on both sides, placed at the table, and I'm kind of a big deal. So that's going to kind of offset points on that. Like you said, placed at the table, J.J. Watt. I think the bye weeks are really going to hurt place at the table. I'd give it to. I'm kind of a big deal as well.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. I mean, that's going to be a big win for you. Like I said, you're currently leading, so continue winning, get
Upset
that spot.
Yeah.
Upset some people. I haven't looked at your schedule yet. Maybe you're going to start facing some ranked foes. Beat a couple ranked foes. It doesn't hurt. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and say, start thinking of the name for place at the table, because that name's changing. Sorry. I mean, I don't mean to be so brash and so, certain, but you're not even my lock, and I'd lock this. Just saying. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, back at you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's move on to our next matchup.
Next matchup is
Southern Supermen versus SCLU Muddogs.
We have ranked teams here. Number 7, Southern Superman. They're going into the Bourbon Bowl. Louisiana, SCLSU Muddogs, ranked number 8. This has fantastic written all over it. This is going to be one hell of a match. Both teams have Peyton Manning, so that's offsetting right there. And I think if there's ever a time to have an offset of a quarterback, that's the perfect time, because I'm not sure which quarterback you'd want to have instead going. But if you can offset a Peyton Manning points, that sounds the best way to go. You got running backs for Superman. You have Ahmad Bradshaw. He's going up against his old mates in New York, so I'm sure he's going to get a little grudge match going.
Yeah, he should run hard.
Wide receivers, Andre Johnson, maybe he's starting to pick it up a little. Steve Smith, he's always a gamer. Terrence Williams. That one's going to be a tough one because of the Tony Romo factor. If Romo plays, will Williams see any catches? They're always going to try to go to Bryant. Is Arizona going to double up on Bryant? So maybe it's going to be Williams. Jimmy Graham, tight end. Looks like he might be, coming off those injuries. Is he going to start scoring some points like he used to? Defense. You got Adam Jones, Carlos Dansbury, Quentin Demps. All pretty solid. Pretty solid right there for the Southern Superman. They've got their 6-2 record. They're looking strong. Muddogs. Peyton Manning, we've already discussed. Running backs, though, Arian Foster and Ben Tate. I think they got a little edge there. If Arian Foster runs the way he's been running, it might be Muddogs might run away with this one. Wide receivers, you got Jeremy Maclin. Easily he's been putting up points like a beast. Vincent Jackson, hot or cold. It's actually quite, now that I look at it, it's a toss-up. It is absolutely a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean, you excellent breakdown. We both got Foster, Bradshaw, Smith, Jackson, Terrence Williams, Macklin, Jimmy Graham. Greg. If I had to pick one deciding factor, I would almost bring it down to tight end. Jimmy Graham is just in a class by himself when it comes. I like Greg Olson. I think he's done really well, but I think Jimmy Graham is just, he's that top tier. The only other tight end I'd probably put up there would maybe be, Julius Thomas. So, I mean, now, Greg Olson's an awesome tight end. I think he's done good, but I just don't think he's that caliber. I think also this will probably come down to defense. I mean, DeMarcus Ware, if he's on his A game, might be the deciding factor, and then maybe home field advantage. I don't know. I think I would be kind of apt to go with Muddogs on this one. I mean, not Superman. Just
I was actually going Muddogs on this one. I think the home field advantage is definitely going to play a big role in this one. When you go down to the bayou in Louisiana, it's some crazy, raging Cajuns down there. So it's I think the X factor is going to be in this one. Now that I think about it, the water boy. I think that the SCLSU Muddogs are going to have like the perfect balance of water on their sidelines. That's the key factor right there.
That's some high quality H2O.
They're going to open up a can of whoop-ass.
Yeah, I'm looking at Carlos Dansby versus the Bucks, and then Adam Jones versus the Jags on defense on Superman. I mean, both of them, defenses are pretty comparable on these teams. I mentioned DeMarcus Ware for the Mud Dogs, but he's going against the Patriots. That's one team. You're not going to see Tom Brady. I don't know this year. This time he's pretty spot on. So, man, I don't know. You talk about this one's just pretty tough to call.
Yeah, I would almost call it a slobber knocker.
Slobber knocker, good term. But yeah, I think Superman's been in the top 10 a little longer than the Mud Dogs. I just to be different, I'm gonna go with Superman on that one.
You go Superman. I'm gonna go home field. I don't think we're going to be wrong either way. I think it's going to be an excellent matchup. It'll be interesting to see what the name changes will be, though, based off of who wins, with this being Rivalry Week. So that should be interesting. I mean, you beat a ranked team and you get to change their name. How awesome is that?
That's pretty awesome. Alrighty. So you want to move into some locks?
Let's move into some locks, and I'm going to go right off the bat here. I went with both matchups that I have in my locks are both involving ranked against ranked. First matchup, we have the undisputed Vestal Virgins taking their 8-game winning streak on the road to Wilkinson Stadium to face the Land Thieves. 7-1, 8-0. I mean, this is. You don't expect a matchup of this caliber to be this early in the season. I mean, it's not. I guess maybe not this early, but you figure this would be a playoff matchup, not a now matchup. If this matchup that means so much right now to what title games are going to happen, playoffs. This has got TCS like written all over it. What is it going to do? I mean, next week's polls are going to look crazy. Next week's bowl predictions are going to look crazy because of this one matchup. Phillip Rivers for the Vestal Virgins. Ahmad Bradshaw, we've talked about him already. DeMarco Murray. Cordarrelle Patterson. Mike Wallace. Jimmy Graham. It's almost like we're doing the Jimmy Graham show. A couple weeks ago it was the Aaron Rodgers show. Today it's going to be the Jimmy Graham show.
Yeah, apparently.
Right. J.J. Watt, C.J. Mosley, Richard Sherman. It's, Vestal Virgins is... You can see why they're 8-0. Land Thieves, Drew Brees, DeMarco Murray, Jeremy Maclin. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Greg Olson, Mohamed Sanu, Pierre Garçon, C.J. Mosley, DeMarcus Ware, Gerald McCoy. I mean, I almost want to say this may come down to the kickers. Justin Tucker and Steven Koskowski, however you pronounce that. That's how crazy this matchup's going to be. Number 2 versus number 3. I'm going with something here. I've tried it before. I'm going to try it again.
Oh, don't do it, Rome.
Oh, I am doing it.
Don't
Land
do it,
Thieves. Land Thieves are going to give the Vestal Virgins not only their first loss, but a new name. Maybe call them the Cherry Poppers. I don't know. I'm going to help you out here. But Land Thieves, I guess it's an upset because of the rankings.
Boats and
Gives
Hose.
Vestal Virgins, I mean, there's got to be a way you can mess with Vestal Virgins in a way that's going to be awesome as you change their name. But Land Thieves, home field advantage. I think that's what it's going to do it. Kicker may be the real maker in this one. They're going to give Vestal Virgins their first loss. Whether that changes the landscape completely in the polls, who knows? Land Thieves, victory.
I think it's going to come down between Patterson for the Virgins and Macklin for the Land Thieves. I think that's what it's going to hinge on. If Macklin performs like he did last week, then I'll give it to Land Thieves. But good matchup. Good matchup. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
What do you have in one of your locks?
Well, for my first one, I'm going a little different route than you on this one. I'm looking at the Asheville Aardvarks versus the Dynasty.
Ooh. Intriguing matchup.
So, looking at Aardvarks, Cam Newton. Reggie Bush on a bye. LaShawn McCoy. He's got Larry Fitzgerald, who has shown up the past couple weeks. Sammy Watkins on a bye. We got Jordan Cameron. Let me see who else we got. Sue's on a bye.
I'm sensing a pattern on this one.
Yeah. I think Aardvarks, he struggled a little bit, and he's, this year he's going to struggle a lot more this week. This is where just depth, and when you're picking your teams, at least that first year, you got to try to pay attention to the buys. And what happens in years after, you don't know what kind of schedule teams are going to get. But looking at the Dynasty, Tom Brady. Ahmad Bradshaw, who you talked about a minute ago, versus the Giants. A little bit of a grudge. He's going to come in, and he's going to. Plus, they're playing at New York, so he's familiar with that field. It's going to be like running at home for him. He's got Arian Foster, who has done very well this year. Rookie of the Year, Kelvin Benjamin, Des Bryant. I don't even think it's going to be much of a matchup. I hate to say it, but Aardvarks are. I don't know what they're going to be. It'll be interesting to see what kind of name he ends up with. But give it to the Dynasty.
I think the name I would go with is the Asheville Antsuckers, or something of that nature. I mean, he's close to an aardvark. It's basically, similar. Bug sucker, maybe just sucker.
Or you could play off the Asheville theme, dirty hippies, something along those lines.
Yeah, snowy weather or something. Yeah, I think you call them Biltmore. So I don't know. There's got to be a way to play with that one.
Asheville.
Ooh, how about the ass-felt, ass-feeling aardvarks?
Ass-feeling aardvarks. Yeah.
But
right,
we don't want to help. We're not helping the Dynasty out. We're not helping you out. Just, I would start looking at synonyms and.
Who's your next matchup?
Well, let me see what your next matchup is, because, like I said, I went with ranks against ranked, so I want to save my last one for, All right, so who's the second lock you have there?
All right, second lock. Let's look at Medicine Men versus the Throwdowns.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hate to be this way, especially after the butt kicking they got last week. But well, part of the thing too. I mean, we've got a lot of lineups that aren't set. We've got a lot of buys this week, so I didn't want to just pick something against a team that had everybody out. So, trying to at least pick up what I think is going to be a potential matchup. But Medicine Men. QB, all right, we've got Phillip Rivers at the Dolphins. Phillips looked really good. I think this will be a tough matchup for him Can't say why. Just think it will. But I still think he'll put up good numbers. Le'Veon Bell against the Ravens. Not the best matchup for him. I think the Ravens got a pretty tough D, but I think he'll do well. Antonio Brown, same matchup. I've got Deshaun Jackson at the Vikings. I think he'll have a good go. Love his tight end. Like we said earlier, it is the Jimmy Graham show today. He's also
real quick, wait a second. He's got Julius Thomas and Jimmy Graham at tight end?
Graham. Yes. Why?
Oh my God.
Exactly. It's like having 4 wide receivers basically. I mean, they just one of them two. Like Julius, he let me down last week. He only threw up like 3 points or so, but chances are one of them's going to have a monster week, or both of them put up at least decent numbers. So I really like that. As far as his defense goes, Cameron Jordan, like him, Levante David at the Browns, I think he'll have a good game. Let's go over here and look at the throwdowns. Who do we got? We got Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Eagles. We'll see what happens. Maurice Jones-Drew at the Seahawks. Don't think he's going to do a whole lot. DeMarco Murray, if he stays healthy, which he has, and we've all said he looks, like Barry Sanders this go around, he should throw up big numbers. Looking at Patterson at Skins, we'll see. He's not been one of my favorite wide receivers this year. Now, one of my favorites has been Demaryius Thomas. I think he'll put up big numbers, even at the Patriots. If anybody can throw on him, it's going to be Peyton Manning. Now, here, this is going to offset because we got Julius Thomas going for the throwdowns as far as his tight end. Then, he's got his defensive tackles on a bye. His defense, he's got some good guys. Well, he's got another one on a bye with McKelvin. But the other guys, I don't think their matchups are what I would call ideal. So, hate to say it, throwdowns, you're going to continue having your downward spiral. I think, I'm going to give it, my lock is on number 4, Medicine Man.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk more trash about the throwdowns like I did 2 weeks ago.
So what could be throwdowns, hoedowns,
throw up,
throw away, wipe downs.
Let's see, what else is there? Throwdowns.
Box of tissues at my nightstand. I mean, I don't know.
Guess who's ranked? Rank this. Put up or shut up.
All right, I'm gonna stop you here. We get too carried away. Who's your? I'm gonna save you from your self room. Who's your next matchup, or who's your next lock? Second lock.
Next lock. I said I was going with ranked teams against the ranked team. Now, the only other matchup out there, would I really put myself in lock status mode going up the University of Thugonomics against Greenville Green Devils? Would I dare either lock my team or lock against me?
Well, most people wouldn't. You probably.
No, I'm not that sadistic, but I am crazy. Tedzilla going up against the number 1 ranked team, Gondor University.
Are you going to go there tier 2? Are you really that crazy?
We have Tedzilla. Well, when you've done a couple of flybys through the tower, when you haven't landed the plane when you were supposed to, when you live in the danger zone a little.
You're not clear to buzz the tower, Rome.
You get a little crazy, if you know what I mean. Hollywood, Iceman, all of those said. We've got Phillip Rivers, Arian Foster, LaShawn McCoy, Michael Crabtree, Demaryius Thomas, Jimmy Graham, Jason Pierre-Paul. I already can discuss, love him at defense. But the offensive line has the ability, I repeat, has the ability to match up against Gondor U. Offense, of Wise, Gondor U, Andrew Luck, Jamal Charles, Arian Foster. We have a little wipage out. Antonio Brown, Jeremy Macklin, Antonio Gates. Once again, those are probably some of the two, like, if you wanted an offense against an offense, that's your offense's matchup right there. The Keys defense, J.J. Watt. He's basically another offensive player. And as I look at this matchup, I'll tell you one thing. There's going to be a new number one. Because Ted Zilla's going to take his 4-game winning streak. He's going to match the number that he's ranked, bring it to number 5. He's going to defeat number 1, Gondor University. It's not going to be a massacre. It's going to be a small margin of victory. It's going to be where you've taken down 5 bogeys. Notice how the 5s are starting to assimilate here? 5. And the other MiG leaves. That's what's going to happen here, my friends. Ted Zilla upsets number 1 Gondor University White Knights, renames them, and we have a new number 1 next week. So what do you think, Dan?
Hey, hello?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I like Bobby. You said Ted Zilla. Now we got Bobby Wagner versus the Raiders. I really like that. Harrison Smith versus the Skins. I really like that. I think there's potential. I can see it. But man, I don't know. It'll be an interesting to watch. What can I say? You're going ballistic, Rome.
All I gotta say is that you were muted for like half of whatever it is that you were talking about. I just want to say that. So I'm not sure what you were saying in between some of that stuff, but you were muted for half of it. So if you want to throw it back out there,
That's what I said. First I said I just pretty much exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, we had another connection go down. Apparently, someone doesn't like Top Gun, and they're taking it to the extreme measures and muting all of us.
Possibly. So what are some possible names for Gondor U?
I have no.
Gonorrhea U.
Ooh, I like Gonorrhea. That's nice.
Gonorrhea U. Yeah.
What else could there be? There could be. Let's see. Gonorrhea. I think you just stop right there. Gonorrhea. I mean, I'm sure if I read up on something to do with Lord of the Rings, I could think of some other things, but I'm not gonna, because that would then mean reading the book and understanding more about it. I'd rather not do that. So.
I know he's big on. He's very particular. I know I've been corrected several times that the Riders of Knights of Rohan, and I am told it's the Riders of Rohan. So I'm sure we could do the Gondor U, something along those lines.
Or we just call them the Fagels, or Fagels, however
the Fagels. The Fagels would be
Fagels.
good.
I think it's just the Fagels.
So, any of those.
Yeah.
Now, was there anything else you wanted to go over, talk about? Any role stuff, or?
We do have a new segment also for the TCAA.
Okay.
It is a segment we're trying out. We hope it sparks some interest with some of the other presidents. It's called Just Bring It. Basically, if your game of the week recently is what we've done, we've asked you to participate by giving us a statement, coming on the show so we can interview you. We understand that sometimes the logistics of that just aren't possible. Everyone's got a smartphone, basically, nowadays, or you have a computer. But you can make a 30-second video or a soundbite. Either one works. You have up to 30 seconds. That way, make sure it sends it over to us. But talk trash, talk smack, talk about your matchup, talk about somebody else's matchup. maybe you also have something to say about one of the matchups coming up next week, let's say, and you want to talk a little trash. Go right ahead. Just bring it. And let's get to them. Just bring it. New segment. Here we go. And roll.
Muddogs. Southern Supermen's coach here, Marty Murr. Nice to meet you. But listen, just got to let you know something. Look at your stats. 5-3, pretty good record. 2-0 in the conference, pretty good record. That's all good news for fantasy football players. But the bad news is this week you play the Southern Supermen. That's your bad news, because this week your streak comes to an end. 3 games in a row, it stops this week because there is no kryptonite for these Supermen. Get ready. It's coming.
Tedzilla, we're here.
And that is the new segment, Just Bring It. Like I said, 30 seconds, less, straight fire. Fire up somebody. Get it going. Other than that, that is our show for this week. Don't forget, there is the TCAA Bowl predictions in the league articles as of the latest rankings, so the newest rankings as of right now. Not without the results anyway, but the newest rankings show what we're predicting here at TSPN. Also, get your recruiting in by Monday's game kickoff. We're getting near the end of the season, so you want to make sure you get your recruiting in and you schedule your recruiting visits. Everything else that goes on with that. Other than that, I believe that is it for Dan Tirico. This is David Rome saying we'll catch you next week. See ya.
Let's go! Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50%